Known as the King, Richard Petty achieved some amazing feats on the racetrack during his 35-year career as a driver in the NASCAR Cup Series that included scoring a record 200 wins and 7 championships. Petty won more than 10 races at 5 tracks, including North Wilkesboro, Martinsville, Richmond, Rockingham, and Daytona. Petty made his first NASCAR start in the old convertible division at Columbia Speedway in South Carolina on July 12, 1958. A week later, he made his first Cup Series start in Toronto, Canada, where he finished 17th. His first win came at the Charlotte Fairgrounds in 1960, which was one of 3 wins that season that included his first of 15 career victories at Martinsville. In 1964, Petty won his first Daytona 500 in a Plymouth Belvedere in an eye-opening season with the powerful Hemi engine. After winning 36 races in his first 7 years of Cup Series competition, Petty went drag racing in 1965, following Chrysler's pullout of NASCAR racing over rules for the Hemi. Petty returned at the end of the season when NASCAR relaxed the rules against the Hemi for short tracks and won 4 races in 14 attempts. In 1967, Petty experienced his best year ever, one that still stands for the record books after winning 27 times. Besides the pullout of NASCAR racing in '65, another shocker was when Petty switched in 1969 from the family-loyal Chrysler brands to Ford. The move came after the Plymouth Roadrunner produced only 1 superspeedway win in 1968. Petty won 9 races that season behind the wheel of a Ford Torino. In 1970, Petty returned to Plymouth, which was the only full season of the winged cars. In 1972, Petty signed STP to sponsor his car, and they remained with him throughout his career, even as an owner after retirement. After the 1974 season, about the only records left for Petty to break were the ones he had already set. For instance, he had the most national championships with 5, the most Cup Series victories with 164, the best average finish, most money won, most starts, most top 5 and top 10 finishes, most wins in one season, most consecutive victories, and most wins in the Daytona 500. All he needed was to outdo himself. In 1979, Petty won his 7th and final championship, a record that stood until Dale Earnhardt tied it in 1994. July 4th, 1984 will remain as one of the landmark dates in the history of NASCAR, as it marked the day Petty captured his 200th and final NASCAR victory at historic Daytona International Speedway. Petty's 200th NASCAR win wasn't the only historical moment that occurred. The Independence Day event marked the first time a sitting president attended a NASCAR race. Ronald Reagan gave the command, "Gentlemen, start your engines from Air Force One en route to the world's center of racing." Including the 200th win and his 1964 victory, Daytona produced many of Petty's memorable moments throughout his career. The 1976 Daytona 500 produced one of the most incredible finishes in NASCAR history. Petty ended up finishing 2nd after he tangled with David Pearson on the last turn of the last lap. In 1979, Petty won the first live televised broadcast of the Daytona 500 flag to flag, all with Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison in a heated debate that turned into a fistfight, with Allison's brother Bobby jumping into the fray. And in the 1988 Daytona 500, Petty walked away from a spectacular crash on the front stretch of the 2.5-mile superspeedway. The 1992 season marked Petty's last in the Cup Series, and it all ended at Atlanta Motor Speedway, where he finished 35th, not before he circled the track one last time to pay tribute to the fans. Petty changed the sport of auto racing, influenced the way drivers interact with fans, and in the process became an American icon. 9 times the King has won the Most Popular Driver award, and everywhere he goes, he can be seen signing autographs and wearing his trademark cowboy hat and shades.